Hello, my name is Reef and welcome to my latest Next Play. Um, Today I'm playing an indie title called Moonlight Walks, which is apparently a visual novel. I found it on GameJolt. I'll put the link in the description for you. I'll try and do if there is any dialogue, I'll try and do the different voices for each of the characters. Well, male voice and a higher pitched voice for female. And well, the game has good ratings, so let's see how it goes. It was the summer before I started college. I had spent the past 2 years studying, taking tests, and applying for admission. Now, for the first time in a while, I had a little downtime, so I decided to take the opportunity to explore America. Oh. But since I was broke, my plans were quickly scaled down to spending the summer at my aunt and uncle's house, on a small island known as North Sand Island. Okay. North Sand Island was a barrier island in the Atlantic Ocean. It was remote enough that there wasn't even a bridge to it, just a ferry that ran a few times a day. Being such a small island, there wasn't all that much to do, but the solitude was nice and I found ways to pass the time. One thing I did was to take pictures with my digital camera. On the night of the full moon, I decided I wanted to capture the moonrise. Oh, so that's probably why this picture is in the background. So I went out to the beach just before the moon came up, set up my camera on a tripod and looked in the appropriate shutter speed and f-stop. Oh, this guy really likes taking pictures. Well, I'm assuming it's a guy. Every few seconds as the moon rose, I used the remote that came with my camera to snap another frame showing the moon and its reflection in the water. It only took a few minutes for the moon to rise over the horizon, but it kept at it for a while longer. Finally, I was done. I started packing up my camera and my tripod to get ready to head back to my aunt and uncle's house. That's when I saw her. In the distance, I could see someone else walking down the beach. Oh, there she is. I could tell there was probably a girl or a woman from the long white dress she wore, but from the distance it was hard to tell anything else about her. Well, it could be a cross-dresser for a trap. I decided to stay a bit to see who it was. In all the times I've gone out stargazing, I'd never met anyone just walking down the beach in the middle of the night. At the late hour, most people were either at home or in town with other people. You hardly ever saw people by themselves. The only time I've seen someone else on the beach at night would be when they are watching the stars or the satellites go by. But those people stay still and look up at the sky, while this girl was looking down at the ground in front of her, watching where she was going. Well, you're assuming it's a girl. I ran through a number of crazy scenarios in my head. Maybe she had some disease that meant she couldn't be out in the sun, like a vampire. Maybe she was looking for buried treasure with no shovel or metal detector. It only took me a few seconds to dismiss these. What was the chance of them actually happening? Smart choice. I waited for a while and she slowly made her way down the beach. I didn't think such a slow walk could be for exercise, but I had no idea what else she could be doing out there. Maybe she just enjoys walking on the beach at night. Finally, she was close enough that I could get a good look at her, using the telephoto lens on my camera. Finally. She was the most beautiful girl I'd ever seen. She was around my age, a year or two younger or older at the most, and in perfect shape. Her skin was flawless, if a bit pale, and her hair was very light, almost as white as the long dress she was wearing. You sure this isn't a ghost? Together, the combination of pale skin, light hair, and white dress made her seem to glow in the moonlight. She was a fair ways off, and I was pretty sure that she hadn't seen me. I knew what it was I wanted to do. I knew that I wanted to take her picture or talk to her. Let's go talk to her. As the girl was walking this way, I decided the best thing to do was to put my camera away and wait for her to come closer. Jeez, there's a lot of reading in this game. I don't want to scare her away by running towards her or to have to shout over the ocean waves. After I had patiently waited what must have been 20 minutes, She was finally close enough that I could talk to her in a reasonable voice. 20 minutes to walk from there to here. God damn it, she's slow. Hello. Kinda looks like a guy with that chin right there. Maybe it wasn't the most eloquent of lines, but it was all I could think of at the time, and it got the job done. She stopped and looked at me as if waiting for me to say something else. It's a nice night. It's warm, but not really all that hot. She nodded at this but didn't say anything. I finally decided to cut to the chase and ask her the question on my mind. So what are you doing out there?
Walking.
Just walking in the middle of the night? My girl voice is a bit bad, but yeah.
Yes.
Are you going anywhere in particular?
I walk around the island following the beaches.
Oh well, screw this few more voicing, I'll just read normally. The island wasn't that big, I could go around it in a few hours, maybe a little more if I stopped for a break. I'd have no problems keeping up with her. Well, not at the speed she's walking. I mean, she barely even moved anywhere in about 20 minutes. Mind if I walk with you? If that's what you want. I decided I'd bring my camera with me, but I hid my tripod and bag in the dunes. It took only a few seconds and we quickly started walking down the beach. Quickly? We walked in silence for a while until we could no longer see where we started. So I'm guessing this is a few hours by now. I looked back anyway and saw only our footprints breaking up the sand of the beach. Walking was great, but I needed to try talking to the school. I decided to see if I could find out why she was out at night. She just told you she was walking. So... She stopped and looked at me. Is there any reason why we're walking down the beach at night? It's something to do. I see. Do you do this often? It seems like I do this every day. Do you always walk alone or do other people come with you? Usually I'm walking by myself, but once in a while I meet someone else and sometimes they decide to walk with me. The school's a bit weird. It's only happened a few times though, and I don't think that anyone has asked as many questions as you. I didn't know how to take this, and we stood in silence for a second. Finally she let out a small laugh, smiled and took the initiative. What were you doing out there? I didn't think that she was interested in me, and so it took me a second to respond to her question. Seeing my hesitation, she elaborated. I think we both agree that it's rare to meet someone else out on the beach this time of night, so what were you doing there? It took me another second to think back to what I was doing, but finally I answered her. You spent your entire night taking photos of the moon, and it takes you a second to think about what you were doing. I'm into astronomy. Well, stargazing really. I was out taking digital photos of the moon as it rose. She looked at me questioningly, as if she didn't know what I was talking about. I found that a little odd, as I thought everyone knew what a digital camera was. I've been telling you, she's a ghost. I decided to show her my camera or the moon. Let's show her the camera. I decided that the easiest way to explain what was to show her some of the pictures I had taken, so I pulled my camera out of its case and turned it on. I switched it to displaying pictures and called up one of the last pictures I had taken, one which showed the full disk of the moon. I held up the camera to the girl to let her see the pictures on its screen. She took a good look at it, turned to look at the moon in the sky, and then took another long look at the screen. Strange storytelling. The moon it's so small. I didn't know what exactly she was trying to get at here. The pictures are small here, but they look much bigger on the computer screen. Well, that's what she said. I tried explaining, but it just seemed to confuse her even more, so I decided to change the topic. Did you grow up around here? I did. When I was growing up, there wasn't all these houses and buildings on the island. The only thing on the island were farms, and farms were huge. Only 4 family 4 families lived here, and between us we owned all the land on the island. My family was one of the 4. We owned the southern end of the island, where we first met. We hadn't cleared all of our land, but we had a large enough farm that we could grow the food we needed and sell some at market. I didn't know that the island's population was so small, so recently I knew that tourism could grow a population, but so quickly. Did you go to school on the mainland then? Once in a while, when we took the ferry over to sell our produce, we would spend a few days in the school being tested, but most of the time we were homeschooled. Mama would teach us reading and writing, and Papa would teach us math and things. I wonder what these things are. Oh well. At least before they died. With this, her smile went away. It was obvious that this was a hard subject for her to talk about. I asked her, but I dropped the subject. It looked like if I asked her to continue, she would break out in tears, so I decided to let it go. Instead, just started walking down the beach again. Well, he's an insensitive bastard. I don't know how much time passed until we spoke again. Maybe it was an hour, maybe less, maybe longer. We slowly made our way around the island, with me walking a few feet behind her. If it had been someone else, I probably would have taken my leave and headed back for home. But there was something about this girl that made me want to stay with her. An aura of some sort, of beauty, of tragedy, of loneliness. Perhaps some combination of all of them and more. Yeah, my tongue's getting twisted there. And so we kept silently walking down the moonlit beach. Finally, I couldn't take it anymore, and I tried once again to strike up a conversation. Man, these waves are annoying. So, is there anything you want to do with your life? For a few seconds, almost said seconds though, there, she said nothing, as if I had said something wrong. But then she began to speak. Once, I thought I knew. When I was younger, it was like my life was planned out for me, already. I would follow in my mother's footsteps. So you teach kids things. I'd help out on the farm for a few years. Even when we were young, we had chores, but when we finished our schooling, we could help out even more. Eventually, I'd meet a nice boy. I didn't know who at the time. Thinking back, it probably would have been one of the Miller boys. They were around my age. I really think this girl is dead. We would get married and start a farm of our own. We'd raise a family together, a few girls, and I always wanted a boy, because all I had was sisters. Now, however, her smile vanished as she let the thought trail off. After a little while, she changed the subject back to me. What about you? What do you plan to do in the future? The question took me a little off guard, both because I wasn't expecting her to ask me the same thing and because I never really thought much about my future. She smiled a little at my obvious confusion. Well, I'm spending the summer visiting my family. When it's over, I'll be going off to school. Aren't you a little old to still be in school? Well, state school. I'm going to be attending university in the fall. I don't know what I'll do after that. I don't even know what classes I'll be taking or exactly what my major will be. I figured that when I'm not at school, I'll be living with my parents for a while. Eventually, I'll get a job and move out. Seems normal. As to settling down and starting a family, well, I have no idea about that, when that's going to happen. I haven't really thought much about it yet. I don't think many people have their lives as well planned out as you. I think most people are just sort of winging it. At this, she let out a quiet laugh. Is there something wrong with that? No, nothing at all. In fact, I think I envy you. Why? Well, you can do anything you want with your life. You can go anywhere you want. Some people would think that having too many choices is some sort of curse or a burden, but I think it's just freedom, and that's a good thing. I think it's nice to live a life where your future is open, where you can do anything you want. Once again, I didn't know what to say, and for a second I thought we'd go back to walking in silence. But instead of letting the conversation falter, she kept it going. What do you do for fun? Lots of things. I like drawing, listening to music, watching cartoons and football on TV. Football? She repeated the term slowly, as if she knew both words but had never heard them together in that way before. Yeah, football, you know the sport, you've heard of it, right? She shook her head to indicate that she hadn't. How can I begin to describe it? There are two teams on the field at once. One of them has a ball. The center hikes the ball to the quarterback. The quarterback can either throw the ball to another player, hand it to another guy, or try to win with it. Well, that's not a really good description of anything. Everything I said seemed to confuse her even more. Well, duh. But I didn't even know what else to do, so I just kept on going. The other team tries to stop them by tackling the player with the ball. If they can move the ball 10 yards in 4 downs, then the other team gets it. They can't move it. It was around this part of my explanation that she broke out giggling. Now that I look back and my explanation was sort of absurd. Sorry about that, just had a quick phone call. Okay, it was around that part of my explanation. Okay, so I read this part. Really, my explanation was sort of absurd. Well, yeah. And so we passed the night talking about things. Mostly I talked and she listened. Sometimes she would ask me questions and I would answer them as best as I could. This is taking a while. Many times that wouldn't be good enough and she would break out laughing as I fumbled through another explanation. We spent the rest of the night like this, talking and laughing as we made our way around the island. By dawn, we had made it almost all the way around the island to a cliff not far from where we had first met. The girl started to climb back down the beach but I stopped her. I thought we could stay here and watch the sun come up. To my surprise, her reaction to my explanation was one of shock. It's sunrise already? I have to be going. It came as a surprise to me. We had been getting along well, and now she was about to run off. She must have seen the disappointment on my face as she changed her tone and she elaborated. It's not you. It's just that I can't. I understand. I said, not really understanding anything. You liar. As she started walking away, I searched my mind to see if there's anything I could say to keep her there just a little longer. Suddenly I realized that there was something I had forgotten to ask her. What is your name? I realized that throughout the entire night I had never asked her for what her name was. A bad habit of mine is that I can have whole conversations without knowing someone's name. Well, that's kind of mean. So I asked her, almost shouting the question to her. She stopped walking, turned back to me and smiled. It's Mary Harper. At that moment the sun cleared the horizon, its brilliance blinded me and I reflexively closed my eyes. I've seen the sunrise many times before and since, but I've never seen it as bright as it was that time. When I opened my eyes again, the girl was gone. I didn't know why she went, how she had left so quickly, or where she had gotten off to. The one thing I did know was that I wanted to meet her again. Having found out her name, I proceeded to look her up on the web. Of course the name Mary Harper gave me thousands of hits, but after I narrowed it down to a local area I got nothing at all. According to the online phone book, no one named Harper lived on the island. Telling you, ghost. After getting some sleep I went to the library to try to find out more about her. Knowing she said that she was from around here, I took out a book on the history of North Sand Island. The only thing I found when I looked up Harper in the book was the story of the Harper family that lived on the island in the 1780s. They were wiped out by an epidemic that killed almost everyone on the island in 1790. Only a few boys escaped to tell the tale. It left the island empty, and it wasn't even until after the Civil War that people settled here again. Well, there you have it. She's dead. No love for dead girls. I looked through the book and through the records of people living on the island after it was resettled. Despite hours of searching, I couldn't find anyone named Harper. That night I went out to the beach where I first saw her, hoping to meet her again. So it's beach time. I spent the entire night there, but she didn't show up. I tried again the next night and the night after that, every night for 2 weeks. Man, this guy really has a thing for dead girls. But after that first night I never saw her again. I never forgot her either. Ending to history. Well, thanks for watching guys. Seems I have finished this game. Not really much happened other than some random guy kinda like the ghost girl but was too stupid to realize she's dead. Anyway, thanks for watching.